Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop. And today I'm going to be doing a versus video between the Adidas Harden Volume 7 and the Adidas AE 1, the best hoop shoes that Adidas has to offer, right? But there is a pretty big price difference. So the Hardens are going for $160, but they are on sale because the Harden Volume 7 has been out for a while now. So I've seen some on sale for like 120, 130 bucks. And then the AE1 is going for 120 bucks, which is $40 price difference. But also as far as the tech goes, it's not that much of a difference, you know what I mean? So if you guys do want to cop either of the shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box. I mean, both of these shoes are top tier performers. I absolutely love playing in both of these shoes. And also, I wasn't gonna do a versus video initially with these because the Harden Volume 7 is a pretty old shoe, and then the Harden Volume 8 is supposed to be coming out pretty soon. So I was like, I'll hold off on the versus video, but a lot of you guys have been asking, right? So if you guys have any questions, you guys can always DM me on Instagram or on TikTok, and I try to get to all of them, you know what I mean? But sorry if I don't, there's a lot of DMs. But yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, you guys can always DM me. But also, again, affiliate links for these shoes, if you guys do want to cop, will be in the description box below. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, right? So with this Tiffany blue colorway of the Hardens, I have, this is dead stock, right? I actually played in my all black pair, but I got another colorway because I love this shoe so much, you know what I mean? But anyways, as far as the traction goes, if you're playing on a clean court, they're both top tier, amazing bites. However, the AE1 bites a little bit harder. The AE1, I don't know what it is. I don't know what Adidas did with their rubber compound here in the AE1. I doubt it's the pattern of the outsole, right? Maybe it is with this enlarged herringbone traction pattern, but in the Harden Volume 7, we have herringbone, same thing here in the AE1. But yeah, so the Harden Volume 7, you're gonna have an amazing time. But the AE1, you're gonna have an even more amazing time because the bite is so dang good. It's so good. Like, you're just gonna be stopping, not even on the dime, you're gonna be stopping on a pinpoint. I don't know. It just stops a little bit harder than the Harden Volume 7. Like I said, even though the Harden Volume 7 still has amazing bite. Also for dust, the Harden Volume 7 does pick up a little bit of dust, so just be careful on that. It doesn't pick it up super fast, but it does pick it up, and then you do have to wipe. But it is a very easy wipe, so I didn't have a huge deal with the Harden Volume 7. And same thing with the AE1, but I had to wipe a lot less than the Harden Volume 7, right? So the AE1 bites through dust better than the Harden Volume 7, and also you have to wipe less. So overall dust performance is better here in the AE1s. And but for durability, if you're gonna be playing on an outdoor court, obviously the Harden Volume 7 is gonna be way better. The rubber is a lot harder. You have a lot more grooves as well. And also the grooves are deep, right? The AE1, you don't have as many grooves because you have kind of like these V shapes, right? Where there is no contact with the ground, and also the rubber is softer. So outdoor use, obviously, and for durability, the Harden Volume 7 is better, but for performance, right? If you're playing on an indoor court, the AE1 is going to be better on a clean court and dusty court. So there's that. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, both of them are very smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded shape in both of the shoes, right? I would say the AE1 feels a little bit clunkier because this is a little bit stiffer, right? But still, like, not bad, you know what I mean? But since this is a versus video, I'm trying to get into the details a little bit more, right? And then here in the forefoot, we have a little bit of a curved shape for the Harden Volume 7, not super curved, but you know, we have a nice little curve, and same thing here in the AE1. And also the Harden Volume 7 has a good amount of forefoot flex. Look at that, it still flexes, but it's a little bit harder to flex, you know what I mean? I have to put a little bit more force here in the Hardens. The AE1 is actually a lot more flexible. Look at that, it's a lot easier to flex, you know what I mean? But also we have a nice springiness to it. It has a nice little spring back. Same thing here in the Hardens, right? So they have that nice kind of springiness to it, especially out of the first step or when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court. It's just the Harden Volume 7 feels a little bit stiffer here in the forefoot, and that doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's worse or better. It's just, it depends on preference and like what your preference is. If you want like a smoother kind of heel to toe transition, the AE1 is a little bit smoother, and then the Hardens are a little bit stiffer. You know what I mean? So there's that, but they're both very smooth for heel to toe transition. Also, like I said, the AE1 is a little bit clunkier in the heel. So there's that. Moving on to the cushioning setup. So the cushioning setup is pretty similar in how it feels, right? The court feel is absolutely amazing in both of the shoes, right? So if you want court feel and you want to feel very low to the ground, these are the best options. One of the best options on the hoop shoe market if you want to feel very low to the ground, right? So yeah, tie it up for that. But as far as step and comfort goes, I would say the AE1 is a little bit softer and a little bit better, right? So the AE1 is using Jet Boost, right? And if you look at underneath the insole, first of all, the insole in both of the shoes is trash. They're both very, very bad. But underneath it, you can see a cutout in both of the shoes, right? But then, I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's Jet Boost. I don't know, but it just feels a little bit softer. It feels like there's a little bit more compression as well right underneath your foot in both the heel and also in the forefoot for the AE1. And which is surprising because it is $40 cheaper, and usually, you know, companies like Adidas and Nike, they give us worse tech for the cushion if it's a cheaper shoe, but I like how they didn't skimp out on that, you know what I mean? So the step and comfort is a little bit better than the Boost slash Light Strike blend that they have here in the Harden Volume 7. The Harden Volume 7 is still nice. Step and comfort is still nice. It's just the AE1 is just a tiny bit better. And overall impact protection, obviously the AE1 is just a tiny bit better as well. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it feels very similar on foot, court feel and all that, but it's just a slightly softer for underfoot cushion. So yeah, obviously the AE1 wins in the cushioning department just by a little bit. And now moving on to the upper. So yeah, I think it depends on what you want because they're both pretty dang nice, and it feels very nice on foot. However, it's just different how it feels, you know what I mean? So if you want something a little bit more cozy, a little bit more comfortable, you know, you want a little bit more fluffiness, you know, a little bit more foam from the actual upper, then the Harden Volume 7 obviously is going to be better, right? But if you want something a little bit more minimal, right, but also very, very supportive, then obviously go with the AE1, right? So here in the Hardens, we have like this shroud, right, with the synthetic material here in the forefoot, very reminiscent of the Harden Volume 1. And then we have this puffer jacket material, you know, with this like polyester, and it's pretty puffy. That's what the design is inspired by, a puffer jacket, right? So yeah, it is pretty puffy, and also it does have this inner booty with this stretchy type of knit. Look at this. That feels really, really nice. It feels kind of like a sock, like a one booty upper, right? So that goes over your foot, right, with this inner booty, and then you have all your kind of like supportive materials over that, which feels very, very nice, right? So and also we have this caging which kind of like protrudes out with all this foam and stuff like that. So the overall upper, like I said, very, very cozy, very comfortable, especially with this one booty kind of like knit underlaying upper, but it does feel a lot more bulky than the AE1, right? The AE1 with this kind of like plastic wing, it's still pretty like hefty, you know what I mean? It's not a minimal feeling upper by any means. However, it does feel a lot more minimal than the Hardens, right? Also here in the toe box, it's a lot thinner, right? There's no shroud or anything. And also we have this kind of like textile material for this black upper. And then the tongue also, you know, it doesn't really have that much padding, but it does have these like elastic bands that do keep the tongue in place, which does feel very nice and also does improve the fit a little bit. Also here in the ankle area, the Harden Volume 7 also has a little bit more padding. The AE1 is also a little bit more minimal in the ankle area as well. And also, as you guys can see, there's no cage or anything like that protruding out like crazy, you know what I mean? So on foot, you know, they're both nice in different ways, you know what I mean? So like I said, they're both very supportive uppers, right? But more minimal, go with the AE1. More cozy, go with the Harden Volume 7. Also, I guess better quality materials, you know what I mean? So there's that. Moving on to the fit. I went true to size for both of these shoes, and they both fit me like a glove. And yeah, Adidas shoes have been fitting me very, very nicely, right? So lengthwise, I'm good going true to size. Also here in the toe box, it is kind of snug. It's not super duper snug, you know, like in the jaw ones or anything like that, but it's still a nice snug fit here in the toe box, not roomy at all. Also, as far as the width goes, I would say it's around normal slash wide for me. The AE1 feels a little bit narrower than the Harden Volume 7 if I am nitpicking, but it's not squeezing the side of my foot really at all. Narrow shoe would be like the Sabrina ones or the jaw ones, where it's squeezing the side of my foot a little bit more, but these are a little bit more relaxed for the width, right? So very, very similar in fit, and going true to size was really good for me in both of the shoes. Now moving on to the support and lockdown, I mean, your eye didn't have any issues, right? So for lateral containment, the Hardens are very, very good. Adidas makes very supportive uppers, right? So yeah, and also supported shoes. So as far as the lateral containment goes, we can see all this plastic, right? This caging comes up acting as a sidewall here in the forefoot. Also here in the midfoot, this upper is also very supportive. And then here in the heel, we have the cage and also an internal TPU heel counter. So lateral containment, very, very good in the Harden Volume 7 as it is here in the AE1, right? We have this plastic wing. It's very, very supportive. Although it's like a pretty soft, kind of like silicone type of plastic, it prevents your foot from coming out of the footbed because this material is actually pretty supportive. So my foot didn't come out of the footbed really at all. So yeah, I mean, they're both very good for support, especially for lateral containment for me. I guess if I'm nitpicking, the Harden Volume 7 is a little bit more supportive, but the AE1 is still really nice. Also, I didn't really have any issues with heel slippage or anything like that in either of the shoes. My foot felt locked into the shoe once I tightened the laces. And then as far as lateral stability goes, let's just check which shoe's wider. They're around the same. Look at that. You know, they both have a pretty wide base, low to the ground here in the forefoot. Obviously, the AE1 is more of like a mid-cut design kind of, but this material is super thin, right? So it does go over the ankle bone, but it doesn't really provide that much ankle mobility restriction. So yeah, pretty much support and lockdown, tied up. Now moving on to the weight of the shoe, they're both pretty heavy, right? So the Harden Volume 7 is like 15.3 ounces, and then the AE1 is around the same weight. Oh no, it's heavier, 15.65 ounces, 0.3 ounces heavier, which is kind of crazy, you know what I mean? But 0.3 ounces isn't a huge difference, you know what I mean? But it is still heavier. However, the Harden Volume 7 just feels a little bit more bulky, you know what I mean? Because like I said, you have all this cage kind of protruding out, especially here in the heel as well. This puffy material, especially here in the midfoot. It just feels a little bit bulkier, right? And here in the AE1, it feels a lot more minimal, you know? It feels a lot like kind of more streamlined to your foot. Nothing's protruding out like crazy. Both of these shoes are very responsive though. If you want to feel very quick when you're playing, you know, amazing traction in both, you know, responsive, low to the ground cushions, support's great, lockdown's great. So you feel very quick when you're playing in both of the shoes. However, if you want a little bit more of a minimal feeling shoe, then the AE1 has you covered. But again, they are kind of similar in weight. They're both pretty heavy. I mean, the AE1's a little bit heavier. So there is the weight there. Moving on to the ventilation. Yeah. So the AE1 isn't the greatest, right? This shoe still isn't the best for ventilation, but the Harden Volume 7 is freaking hot. So there's the ventilation there. There's no airflow or anything, and you literally have a puffer jacket on your foot. You know what I mean? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics. AE1 all the way. This shoe looks absolutely amazing. Some of the colorways that are coming out, the All-Star colorway that got leaked, the Stormtrooper colorway that Anthony Edwards was wearing was also super dope. So yeah, Harden Volume 7 was still a great looking shoe, but I think the AE1 looks a little bit better. So tell us what you guys think looks better down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yeah, so as far as the pricing goes, obviously if you're trying to save money, the AE1 is better. You know what I mean? So just go with the AE1, but also overall performance, I would say the AE1 is a little bit better. You know what I mean? In my personal opinion, you know, the AE1 just feels a little bit better. You know what I mean? Because I like a little bit more of a minimal upper. That feels great. The cushion also feels very similar to the Harden Volume 7, but is a little bit better. It's a little bit softer. Traction is better as well. It's just a little bit better. So yeah, because of those reasons, and also because it is $40 cheaper, the AE1, in my personal opinion, is the overall better performer. So yeah, that about concludes this versus video. I hope this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys in the next one.